to launching.
Yep.
Okay, so
Very
before
quick.
we get to the launching of the bridge, I want you to talk about someone who's not leaving a church to plant a church.
Yeah.
Hasn't had a leader come up and say, hey, I think you guys need to,
Yeah.
we're going to send you out.
Mhm.
What
Right.
does it look like to move on to a different church
Yeah.
or a different ministry? Or, I mean, because that's also difficult, right? Like,
You could
Right.
almost say, like, what are the reasons you should be leaving, or what are the reasons you should not leave?
Right.
yeah, what are those?
So how you end one season is how you'll start the next.
Yeah.
So if you end a season
Ooh,
in
that's
bitterness,
good. Ooh, I like that.
if you end it in bitterness or strife or dissension, gossip, that's how you're going to pick up the next one. Those things follow you. So I think now you could have a theological disagreement, like, hey, we're just not in the same place in core beliefs. I think the church divides way too easily over non-essential issues. That's a different point. But if it's a theological thing, like, hey, we just need to be in a church that's more centered around this thing, I think go have a conversation with your pastor. Tell him, hey, we love you guys. You guys are great. Here's why. And then leave. Your pastor's going to bless you and love you most of the time. So that's a valid reason to leave. Your kids obviously have a big part of where you're going to stick. So if, like, your kids aren't wanting to be involved in kids or youth, I understand that's a valid reason for parents to say we got to find somewhere for them. What isn't a valid reason, I think, is like the worship's too long, or the music's too loud. For, like, if it's just one small thing and you love everything else, here's why: because you're going to go to the next church and their worship's going to be the right volume, but their groups are going to suck. And
Yeah.
the thing that was
Right,
feeding
right.
you and discipling you is going to
Yeah.
be missing, but this volume's going to be right. So Jesus is coming back for a perfect bride. You should not, as a church shopper, be looking for the perfect bride. You should be looking for the right one that equips your family, that there is community, there's gospel-centered messages, and just too many people, like, when they come and they tell me at the front door, like, yeah, I was at this place, and I'll start asking some questions. Oh, were you there for a long time? No, I was there for a year. Well, where were you at before that? And then I find out, like, they've been in 7 churches in 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you? And I know some of the churches they say, I'm like, that's a good church. I know that church. I know the pastor. You probably would have done well to stay there.
Yeah.
And so, like, consumerism has taken over.
Yep.
People just want, instead of coming to a church of like, hey, what can I give here? What part of the 1 Corinthians 12, what part of the body am I?
Yep.
What am I supposed to bring rather than what am I supposed to get?
Yeah.
It always leaves you with like they're not giving me what I need, so I'm going to go somewhere else that can fill me. And that just works against, like, the mission of the church.
That's right. This is what happens when you bring a pastor on the podcast. He just starts preaching.
Sorry.